His words are great music, phrases in the style of Beethoven, stirring rhythms like the march of Handel choruses. I cannot touch these sayings of his, scattered as they are through the pages of books, at 30 years' distance, without receiving a thrill through my body like an electric shock. And what shocks, what transports, must have been produced when in burning words they issued from the lips of the hero. This is what Romain Rolland, the French Nobel laureate, says about Swami Vivekananda, who is known for his speech, which began with the words, Sisters and Brothers of America, in which he introduced Hinduism at the Parliament of World's Religions in Chicago in 1893. Hearing Vivekananda speak, William James, professor of psychology in Harvard University, said, Vivekananda is simply a wonder for oratorical power. He is an honor to humanity. Presenting here a talk by Professor Piyush Kamal Sinha on Vivekananda and his ideals, which is an abridged version of his talk on Vivekananda delivered on 4th of July 2021 on an invitation by Swami Vivekananda Study Circle, Ludhiana, Punjab. Professor Sinha believes that the philosophy of Vivekananda and the ideals for which he lived and worked could be a great source of inspiration for the youth. So let us hear about this great person whose inspirational spirit permeates in the atmosphere of India.
Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. Vivekananda stated this on several occasions in his speeches and discourses. Inspired by a hymn of Kat Upanishad, Vivekananda wanted his countrymen to awaken their sleeping souls and spread the message of peace and harmony all over the world. Vivekananda was one of the finest spiritual leaders and intellects India has ever produced. His words have served as an inspiration to millions and millions of Indians, particularly the youths, to build a new India through motivation, education, and dedication. An enlightened spiritual preacher of India, Vivekananda took the ancient Indian message of Vedanta and Yoga to the West, while infusing a strong sense of patriotism among Indians during British rule. Through his historic speech at the Parliament of World Religions in Chicago, he communicated to the modern world the accurate meaning of Hinduism and its way of looking at life. He called upon Indians to serve God in man, worship God in all living beings through service, he said. He considered service to humanity as a step towards spiritual upliftment. Vivekananda taught the highest spiritual ideal of Hinduism as expressed in the principles of Vedanta. He said that there is only one reality which we perceive as many as we see through time and space. He was of the view that the Absolute is both immanent and transcendent. Following his Guru Ram Krishna, he however upheld the idea of religious pluralism. All paths or religions lead to the same goal. Vivekananda taught about the essence of Hinduism and said that it is best expressed in Vedanta. He gave Vedanta a universalistic interpretation. He stated that each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest this divinity. According to him, one can do this either by work or worship or psychic control or philosophy. He stated that doctrines or dogmas, temples, books, rituals and forms, etc., are only secondary details. After Bhagavad Gita, it was Vivekananda who synthesized all the four yogas as a means of spiritual realization. He said that the four yogas, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Raj Yoga and Karma Yoga, are all different means for realizing the same spiritual goal. He said that while each of the yogas is meant for different personality types, the ideal is always a harmonious synthesis of all four. Vivekananda gave a modern interpretation of Hinduism, which was also in harmony with Western esoteric traditions. This was the reason why his reinterpretation of Hinduism was very successful even outside India, and yoga, meditation and other forms of Indian spiritual self-improvement were enthusiastically accepted in the West. Modern Hindus too derive their knowledge of Hinduism from Vivekananda, who said that all sects within Hinduism are different paths of the same goal. In the words of C.F. Andrews, the intrepid patriotism of Vivekananda gave a new color to the national movement throughout India. Andrews says that the single most important contribution to the new awakening of India has been that of Vivekananda. Vivekananda wanted Indians to get out of the state of helplessness. His emphasis was on the freedom of the country. He urged people to learn from Hindu sacred scriptures. He felt that Hindu scriptures contained all the instructions to arise out of the hypnotism of weakness, and according to which no individual is inherently weak. For Vivekananda, man was not a miserable sinner but a part of divinity. Why should he be afraid of anything? If there is a sin in the world, it is weakness. Avoid all weakness. Weakness is sin. Weakness is death, he said. What our country now wants are muscles of iron and nerves of steel, he maintained. In his address to the youths of India, he often said, "Success comes out of focused thought and action. Take up one idea. Make that one idea your life. Think of it. Dream of it. Live on that idea. Let the brain, muscles, nerves, every part of your body be filled with that idea, and just leave every other idea alone. This gives strength, and this is how success is achieved." Vivekananda had experienced the extent of poverty prevalent in India. He says that national awakening can never take place unless poverty in the country is addressed. He very categorically states that patriotism does not mean a sentiment or an emotion of love for the motherland, but a passion to serve our fellow countrymen. I have gone all over India on foot and have seen with my own eyes the ignorance, misery, and squalor of our people. My whole soul is afire, and I am burning with a fierce desire to change such evil conditions. If you want to find God, serve man. To reach Narayan, you must first serve the Daridra Narayan, the starving millions of India. Vivekananda is known to have rationally combined an evocation of India's glory in the past with the bitter attack on the degeneration of today. For instance, on the one hand, he says, I am proud to belong to a religion which has taught the world both tolerance and universal acceptance. On the other hand, he, however, says, there is a danger of our religion getting into the kitchen. We are neither Vedantists, most of us now, nor Pauranics, nor Tantrics. We are just don't touchists. Our religion is in the kitchen. Our God is the cooking pot. And our religion is don't touch me, I am holy. If this goes on for another century, every one of us will be in a lunatic asylum. It is a sure sign of softening of the brain when the mind cannot grasp the higher problems of life, he said. Vivekananda also realized the importance of scientific and material advancements for the welfare of India. Hence, when Jamshedji Tata offered to fund a monastic organization for him, he instead asked the great entrepreneur cum philanthropist to fund the setting up of an institute for scientific research and training. His proposal later materialized into the Indian Institute of Science. Sisters and brothers of America, this is how Vivekananda began his address at the Parliament of Religions in Chicago on 11th of September 1893. Hardly had he said this, he received a thunderous 2-minute standing ovation from the audience. And when silence was restored, he described himself as a representative of India, the mother of religions, and as a representative of millions of Hindus irrespective of their caste and creed. In his inaugural address, Vivekananda quoted a few lines from ancient Indian scriptures and expressed the belief that the bell that tolled this morning in honor of this convention may be the death knell of all fanaticism, of all persecutions, and of all uncharitable feelings between persons wending their way to the same goal. In his address at the final session on September 27, Vivekananda said, "The Parliament of Religions has proved to the world that holiness, purity, and charity are not the exclusive possessions of any church in the world, and that every system has produced men and women of the most exalted character." In the face of this evidence, if anybody dreams of the exclusive survival of his religion and the destruction of others, I pity him from the bottom of my heart and point out to him that upon the banner of every religion will soon be written, despite resistance, help and not fight, assimilation and not destruction, harmony and peace and not dissension. Vivekananda invited widespread attention in the press. The New York Critic wrote, "He is an orator by divine right." The New York Herald noted, Vivekananda is undoubtedly the greatest figure in the parliament of religions. After hearing him, we feel how foolish it is to send missionaries to this learned nation. The Boston Evening Transcript reported that Vivekananda was a great favorite at the parliament. If he merely crosses the platform, he is applauded. Swami Vivekananda acted as a bridge between East and West. He played a pivotal role in strengthening the spiritual foundation of mankind. Many years after Vivekananda's death, Rabindranath Tagore told French Nobel laureate Roma Roland, "If you want to know India, study Vivekananda. In him, everything is positive and nothing negative." It is time for us to recall the ideas and teachings of Swami Vivekananda and build our society with the eternal fountain of happiness springing out of wisdom. Thank you very much.